Hey guys, so I was doing some research um, earlier this morning and I came across some really bizarre stuff I wanted to share with you. So, everyone's probably heard of that T. gondii thing, like this toxoplasmosis thing that comes usually to people. They think it's through cats, through handling like their litter boxes and whatnot. But I guess there's more of a tendency that you can get it from, of course, because people had it before domesticated cats, even though it was less prevalent. So they say, but I don't know how they would really measure that. But you can get it through the dirt. Like in fact, you're more likely to get it from doing gardening or, um, you know, kind of like not washing your vegetables out of the garden well enough when they come out of the ground. And you can get this parasite that way too. But I thought it was really bizarre. I read this article that was claiming that with that T. gondii, you can transfer it, like it might make the host seem more attractive, I guess, to a potential host that wants to spread itself to. It's a very creepy idea. Have you ever seen like It Follows, that movie, which is kind of terrifying? But I was thinking about this parasite host scenario where you have something called I can't remember, let me look up the title here. I can't. Basically, that parasites can communicate across different hosts. And I can't pull up I've tried pulling up the little screens. I don't want to use the OBS today because my laptop, my webcam I'm using, the sound was going out, so I had to use a different one. And with this one, I don't have it really set up, so I'm not going to fiddle with it. But, so basically the idea is that when a host, like a human being, for example, in this case, I'm just going to talk about this because it's kind of just a weird idea. But if the host that has this parasite, it's able to communicate with other parasites inside of another host, and in that way spread itself and go to another location. It can it can work as an like a intermediary. So the parasites use their hosts as intermediaries to communicate with one another, which is just extremely weird. And then the idea that, which this is very bizarre too, but there's something called a parasitic stress hypothesis, and it's the idea that the parasites that take over a nation state or a country, look it up, parasitic stress hypothesis, and what this is they think it actually even influences, that the parasites influence the choice of government and could influence them to choose a more authoritarian government even as a response to parasitic stress, which is just unbelievable to imagine that you may have a government in place due to the kind of parasites in that region of the world. I mean, just the concept that what kind of role these parasites are playing actually in their hosts. And if you think about the parasitic relationship, the symbiotic relationship going on there, where some of these parasites live in their human, or their chosen species for however long, they would become very wizened essentially to how to interact in their host to get the most, what's best for themselves to further their own species. So to imagine that we've been living along parasites for thousands and thousands, if not longer, years, and that the parasites that take host in human beings and other species as well not only affect their personalities in some regards, but may even affect their political choices. And that the parasites inside of these hosts in human beings, for example, can communicate with each other using their host, the person with the parasite, as an intermediary, and somehow communicate to the parasites in another host using the person that they're in. And not only that, but they can even like collaborate to even to spread themselves to another host. I mean, that's some like body snatcher crazy stuff, that the stuff of nightmares, honestly. And then the fact that if it affects political systems, that would insinuate it can affect like where you choose to, possibly where one would choose to live, what region. And the hive mind concept, when it's tied into this, is mind-boggling. So I just wanted to bring that bit of bizarre to your afternoon or your evening or your morning or whatever, because it freaked me out so bad, because I was just like, oh my gosh. And I got to thinking about the ancient world where they do these purification rituals, you know, where they'd smoke themselves essentially. There's that where they'd have women like sit over, like, you know, letting the smoke purify them. And then there's of course the sweat saunas, you know, sweat lodges, and the purification bathing, and the fasting, wherein they, you know, kind of starve the parasites out, I wonder. And because I don't know, I've never heard of this parasitic stress hypothesis. And the fact that the government or the health organizations have they've done research into this, and they realize it could be used to influence the choice of government. I mean, the concept of that is so weird and kind of worrisome, like when you think about it, because of course they would utilize that, I would think. Imagine them infecting a whole entire population with a parasite just to influence their voting or their buying, consuming habits. But then imagine too that if there are like some way, or if there are some ways, or if there is some way that the parasites within individuals can communicate to other parasites through their host, using the host as a puppet. I wonder, you know, like, have you ever seen where everybody mows the yard on the same day? Like, I don't know, like, it's so strange. And I don't know how far-reaching this would be, but if it even affects mating habits of humans, and it affects their location, or their political habits, or their customs in some ways, and you think about how far-reaching back in history, and I've thought about that aspect a great deal, because I've always wondered about the worm thing, and the possibility that the world could be being run by parasites in a way, since they do influence your habits and even the way that you think. But I just wanted to run that little fun bit of information by you this afternoon, and I hope you have a wonderful day, and check this stuff out, and I don't know, don't get aliens, right? Have a great day. Thanks for watching.